This is League on Lock, and we're doing a little bit of global power rankings. Eric and Mark with you guys. That's right, we're talking 10 best teams on the planet right now. And throughout the weeks that we've done this, there's been a lot of shifts. Some new teams pop in, some old teams pop out. We've had a lot of teams have a rough week, and then boom, you're out of the top 5, see you later, or the top 10, and a lot of them don't come back.
Hey man, this is a tough club to get into
it's
here,
exclusive.
To stay up here. This is the planet Earth top 10 global power rankings here. This ain't Venus, this ain't Mars, this is Earth, and this is
planet Earth, baby.
Top 10, man. You gotta really be cutting that top cheese to be here.
G2 and Liquid were staples. Well, Liquid was only here a couple of weeks, but they were both here for an extended period. No longer. Either are in the top 10. We got a couple debuts here on the bottom half, starting in that number 10 and 9 spot, because the LPL, we've seen a lot of guys climbing up. EDG, season debut in at number 9, and TSM, you got to have one NA team on here, and it's the guys who dethrone Liquid.
Hey, we're just TSM fanboys over here.
That's
throwing
right.
These guys up here on
11 of 12.
Hey, you gotta throw them up here. This form that Team Solo Mid has shown you, the dominance, is gotta be on the worthiness scale of being on the global power rankings here. The only type of concern that you can have now thinking about Team Solo Mid in this international light on a global power ranking scale is you do look to that top side. You look at BB, you look at Acadian in the jungle, and you would like to have a little bit more international experience there with this roster. But of course, you've got the veterans in Bjergsen, Sven, and Smoothie, tons of international experience there. And hey, that international experience, it doesn't matter right now because domestically, they're just dominating.
Yeah, and I think the main reason we've seen this iteration of TSM be so much more aggressive is because of those young guns in Acadian and Broken Blade not being afraid to make the plays. EDG, just another LPL team that has made their start on here. RNG out of the top 10 after a rough 2-0 loss to Sino Dragons, and of course the loss to IG, which means EDG makes their debut here. And this team, they've slowly been rising up the ranks. Only a couple of weeks ago, you were talking about, oh man, EDG might miss playoffs in China, but as soon as they heard those rumors, they have completely turned it on. They've looked much more like the EDG of old with Clear Love in the lineup. They got a clean 2-0 against TOP. They've taken down Billy, and even in the series that they lost to Fun Plus, that was a very close series, and overall, they actually played well.
You gotta like what you've been seeing from EDG recently, the resurgence here with this squad, and yes, oh man, does it feel good to see Clear Love put up some great, strong performances. Once again, timeless here, watching him play in the LPL. And when you're talking about this resurgence though with EDG, gotta be looking at the damage pumping out from iBoy here, talking always about LPL AD carries and how they're able to dish out so much damage. iBoy, one of the premier ones in the LPL, and he has stepped up his play recently for EDG to make this big push on playoffs.
And one of the most perfect champions to suit alongside iBoy is the Vayne in the meta, because you know he can pop off and carry a fight at any given time. He can also Kai'Sa ulti in 1v4 and lose you a quarterfinal series.
Yeah, definitely some Vayne spotting that can happen with iBoy playing these type of champions. But you're right, that risk reward that he always is going for, man. Hey, if it's there, 99% chance that he's gonna die, but he could get that trade kill. Penta! iBoy's going in and he's going for that kill.
I think more often than not, you get the positives more than the negatives out of him. Fnatic didn't even play this week, but because of some faltering from other squads like RNG, they move up a spot to number 8. TOP has struggled lately. They've gone down 3 spots. They've lost a bunch of series you didn't expect them to win, but they're still, or you did expect them to win. They're still a top tier team. They're in at number 7, and Sandbox there staying put at number 6. And you'll remember last week, we had Kingzone on the top 10. Where'd they go, Mark? They're not on the list anymore. They had a good week. Why are they outside of the top 10? Well, they're in the top 5. The highest that we've seen out of Deft and the boys this season, with TOP faltering and then winning or looking better than Sandbox. Kingzone into that top 5.
Please throw some respect here, guys, on this Kingzone squad. People are kind of looking at this and going like, yeah, okay, fine. Maybe you can start putting them up in that top 5, top 3 in the LCK. But why you got to be doing this globally? Man, watch these Kingzone games, watch their play, and then come back to me and try to tell me that exact same thing here, because this Kingzone squad, and specifically the back half of the spring split, the more recent part here, they have absolutely been on fire. This squad rolling through the LCK, rolling through teams that they should be beating, challenging the teams that are ahead of them here. This has been a good look from this Kingzone squad. They have developed nicely this spring split.
And then you have IG at number 4, and we desperately think they deserve and should be top 3, but again, we're cheating a little bit because we're taking in Week 10 games. They played Billy earlier.
Oh, man.
And that was a sloppy series.
Come on.
That was sloppy.
Just yesterday, I was going off saying, you know what, I might take IG over the field of the other strong elite LPL teams here.
Whoops.
And how do I get repaid by the shy and rookie here? They say, thank you very much, Mr. Horner. We're going to pay you back. Billy, take your free win here, please.
And BLG looked pretty good in that set. Kuro has looked fantastic in the LPL, a guy we probably forgot even left Korea to go over to China, but he's had a fantastic split with BLG. And IG, they're still in the top 4. FPX goes 1 spot ahead of them because, you know, when they lost those 2 games in a row to drop to 8-2, I thought, all right, it's the end of this magical birdish run for these guys. But they bounced back in a big way, and they're into the top 3 again. They've been there before this split. SKT and Griffin are still there in the top 2. And SKT, they only played 1 set this week. It was against Sandbox, and they had some early game deficits in that matchup. But overall, the team fighting that they put forth, Teddy was absolutely incredible in this series.
This is where you want to say it was domination, but that's obviously not fair to the early game from Sandbox and some of the mistakes made by SKT there that they were able to capitalize on. But you're right, pretty much anywhere from 15 minutes onwards, it's absolute domination in this series from SKT, a continuation of that really strong form that we've seen from them. And yes, you're right, it is those great times of watching SKT where you can be like, man, that game 1, that was all about Teddy popping off. And you go to game 2 and you're like, wow, we won this game because we had Khan's Fiora really doing the damage here. There is so many ways that this SKT team can absolutely bring down the pain on you, bring that rain, and man, this SKT team, they should be ready and geared up to try and hopefully get to face off against our #1 raid boss here with Griffin at the top.
And I can't really see the meta changing in any way that SKT isn't able to adapt to because, as you talked about, they can play through any one of their lanes that they need to, and they also have one of the best junglers on the planet right now in Clid. And this is finally, you're starting to feel like even when SKT's at these big 5-6K deficits, you kind of feel like, you know what, they're not out of this game. They could definitely still win this, which is something you haven't felt from them since 2017 spring.
Right, this is going to make it so interesting if we can get this dream final between them and the #1 raid boss of Griffin at the top. These two teams are in form, and they're showing us here right now, #1 and #2 in the global power rankings. Oh man, this is going to be a spicy end to the year.
Yeah, and they've been there for a long time, and if we get anything like their best of 3 they played earlier, it'll be one of the best finals of all time in the LCK. That's it for League Unlocked. Eric and Mark with you guys. Thanks for watching. See you next time.